Ну что ж, здравствуйте, дорогие друзья, с вами Гомер, и мы играем в игру под названием The Stanley Parable. Переводится на русский как «Притча Стэнли», если никто не играл или никто не знает. В чем смысл игры, я так не понял, но я скинул описание, где я скачал эту игру. Сейчас я вам прочитаю. The Stanley Parable — профессиональный ремейк необычного мода, где вы будете или не будете играть за Стэнли, офисного работника, который вдруг осознал, что оказался совершенно один в огромном здании. Вы будете следовать за сюжетом, и вы не будете следовать за сюжетом. У вас будет выбор, и у вас не будет выбора. Игра закончится, игра не закончится. Загадка будет следовать за загадкой. А правила, по которым должна работать игра, будут нарушены, а потом нарушены еще раз. Этот мир сделан не для того, чтобы вы его понимали, но мы все вам объясним. Но по мере прохождения медленно к вам начнет приходить понимание, а парадоксы станут обретать смысл. Игра не будет бороться с вами, она пригласит вас на танец. Вот такое вот описание игры я нашел. Ну что ж, тогда давайте начнем игру. Начинаем. Загрузка. Это, по-моему, мне кажется, инди-игра, что-то типа того. Это история человека по имени Стэнли.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on the desk.
Для офисного работника так нажимает кнопки.
How long to push them? And
Это не очень.
This is what employee 427 did every day.
Ну ладно, я пропущу нахера это. Опа. Ног нету, я так и думал. Прыгать нельзя. Поехали, когда можно тут пройти.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Все может быть, да. Может, тут какие-нибудь есть.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ну ничего такого нет. Тут окошки вообще ничего не видно. Что-то как-то непонятно. Это уже закрыто. Уже правильно, на Е нажимать на английском.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Все ходил, конечно, все облапал. Все правильно.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Может пойти не в левую, а сюда. Ага. Идти по сюжету или не идти по сюжету? Как так? Ладно, пойдем по сюжету. В чем смысл? Да, все правильно. Нельзя. Тут что, все двери закрыты как-то интересно. Ну, ладно, пошли. Тут есть у нас комната.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Это я включил ее. Вроде бы. Ладно, хер с ним. Ну, нам не идти. Дверь сама закрылась. Оп.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Окей.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Окей. Можно пройти. Нет, нельзя. Опачки, пришли. Похоже, вот недавно игра, ну может не недавно, может месяц назад, может меньше, игра «Амнезия. Машина для свиней» или что-то.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Мне кажется.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Сейчас, секунду. Так, куда идти, что делать? Не знаю. Что делать?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never
снова играем.
4, 5.
Как было глупо за этим, вот. А куда идти, ёпты? Даже не знаю. Какой код?
2, 8, 4, 5.
Да, 8, 4. Может нажать? Не надо. Пересесть можно.
Forgot, but it turns
вот,
out that the power's
японский бог.
emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself.
Вот так.
And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Чё, куда? Всё, код. А, вот, открылась дверь. Вот так вот. Кнопочка. Опачки.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Тут можно присесть, это самое лучшее.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Не знаю, ну ладно, пошли так и хер здесь, какой-то мужик говорит, так пойдем. Управление сознанием.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Пошли дальше. Хватит, не боись. Вот кнопка... Только одна кнопка, камера.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
О, пятерка. Что? Не знаю, ничего, значит, пошлите. Mind Control Signal Menu. Офисные работнички, блин.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Все сгорело. Капец. Всем капец. Что дальше? Что-то будет еще? И конец игры. Не думаю, нет.
And a rising chill of uncertainty.
Получилось. Наверное.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Обычная простая игра.
Freedom was mere moments
Кажется,
away.
ничего такого особенного нет.
And yet,
Ну,
even
не,
as the
конечно, не
immense
на
door
Unity,
slowly opened,
скорее. Это
Stanley
понятно,
reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Идем вперед.
Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the
Птички
machine's
летают,
grasp?
небо.
What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the
Давай.
chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal
Да,
had not
красиво.
been to
Прикольно,
understand,
реально.
but to let go.
Домики,
No
деревья.
longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Давай. Ура, вышел.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Назад повернуться.
This was exactly the
Назад
way,
повернись, посмотри,
right
что
now, that things
Давай.
were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Почему? Я хотел посмотреть на эту штуку. Говнюки. Все, я думаю, на этом я закончу. Все. Всем удачи, всем пока. Подписывайтесь, ставьте лайки, чтобы увидеть больше таких роликов. Все. Всем пока.